everyone, it's Tawney. In today's video, we are going to talk about 5 types of products or 5 products that I have stopped buying. Now, some of these are from personal choice. These are like things that I purposefully done, things that I've decided on my own that I will not be buying anymore. And these are like staple products, not just from like specific brands. That's a whole nother video, so stay tuned for that. But these are products that I've either decided I'm not going to buy, or for various reasons I have not been buying much of lately, and we'll get into that as each of the topics progress. The first product I want to talk about is probably the first step in applying makeup aside from skincare, and that's primer. And I found that I have a couple primers that I like to use that work well for me. I have a couple poreless primers or pore filling primers, like the Catrice one and the e.l.f. Putty Primer, and I also use the Hard Candy one as well, and I find that those work really well, and I trust them with my makeup. I know that they'll work for me. That's pretty much what I'm like getting at, but I know they work for me, so I know that they're like products I'm interested in using. In terms of primers, I guess I should say. And then I have a couple, I have like hydrating and mattifying and like very basic ones. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there just aren't very many primers I'm interested in, but it's also just because I know the ones that I like and I know that they work the way I want them to, so there's no sense in me buying more. But there's nothing wrong if you like to try out primers and other products that I'm going to be mentioning, but that's just something that I like don't really have much of a desire to try and look into. Like I see some and I'm like, oh, that looks good, but then I just never go and like pick it up. The next one is foundations. And it's not because I don't like foundation. Foundation is probably my favorite thing to buy aside from like eyeshadows. I just like trying a new foundation, seeing new formulas. I really like trying very like fresh wearing foundations, things that aren't like things that don't claim to be matte, but that also aren't dewy to the point that like my oil is just like it's a slick on my face, because I'm a very oily skinned person, so I don't need a foundation that's like gonna fight against that because I already have all that oil and stuff. But I've noticed a lot of that comes from, there's just not many coming out that I'm interested in. L'Oreal has recently come out with like a tinted moisturizer, and those aren't the kind of formulas I'm interested in just because they don't provide as much coverage as I like. I like something that's full coverage or at least medium coverage. I find that most light coverage foundations don't cover enough. Like I at least want it to cover like any discoloration. Like my cheeks are very red and my nose gets very red. So I like for my foundations to cover that, and I found that most of the light coverage ones or even tinted moisturizers don't do that. So I need something that's a little bit more. Plus, anytime I use something that's not full coverage, I get kind of frustrated because it's not covering like I want it to, even though it might not claim to be full coverage. And I've also seen Flower Beauty came out with a dropper foundation, and I'm not really interested in dropper formulas. I find that they don't really work quite as well because they're very thin and they just, again, don't provide the coverage that I want. But I just haven't seen any new ones come out between drugstore or high-end that I'm interested in purchasing, so I can't tell you the last time I bought a foundation. I think it actually might have been the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy Foundation, and I'm honestly even surprised I picked it up, but it's really good, so I definitely checked that one out. Next one up is primer, or we did primer. It's powders, and I found that this is true for setting powders and finishing powders, and like between your loose and your pressed powders. I found that there's not many that I'm like intrigued by. I feel like powders all kind of claim to do things that like they all claim to do the same things. They cover your skin, they blur your skin, they hide imperfections, they mattify, they do this and this and this. And there's just nothing stand outish to me that makes me want to purchase them. I have a couple loose powders that I like, and I have a couple of my pressed powders that are like ride or dies, like my Milani Prep Set and Go. I just picked up one the other day. I realized mine was getting kind of gross looking, and I was like, I need to pick it up while I can still find it because I haven't been able to find them out lately. So that's something I'm kind of worried is going to get sold out because it's one of my favorite powders. But there just haven't been any that have been like intriguing me to want to buy, so I just haven't picked up any. The next one would be brow products. Now this is something that this is of my personal choice. I found that I know what brow products I like to use and the types, like the style of product. I find that I don't really like pomades or thick waxy products because I already have thick brows. I don't need that extra help. I just kind of need something small like a pencil to fill in those spots. I like the retractable pencils the best, the ones that are kind of like, well, I'll show you. I have, let's see, the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. This isn't the best example because I haven't used it much, but the ones that retract like this that are very thin, I like to use those better than like the big chunky ones. And then I've also found that I really don't care for the ones with fibers in them. I recently bought one from Maybelline that might work well if you have very thin brows, especially if you have like lighter toned brows. But for me, I just didn't think that it worked the way I wanted it to. And my brows just looked like insane, and they already look kind of like crazy on my face. So that's something I have to like definitely watch whenever I'm buying and like looking for products. And then I also like using tinted mascaras. I find that they work really well on my brows. They're not overly harsh. I mean, I know the ones that I like aren't overly harsh. So I just haven't been interested in trying anything new in terms of brow products. So that's just something that's like, it's my choice not to go and buy anymore. And then the final one would be setting sprays. And again, this is another one that's not my choice. It's just because there haven't been any that have been interesting to me. And I think a lot of that has to do with the packaging. I know the NYX setting spray is really nice. Milani has really nice setting sprays. I've heard that the Wet n Wild ones are decent, and I had bought those but never used them, so I decluttered them from my collection. And I think it's all because the packaging just doesn't wow me. It's not something I'm like excited to buy or excited to look into. Like, I bought the L'Oreal Shake and Glow Dew Mist, and I think this is really pretty. I like the color of it. I think it kind of stands out. Same with the Fourth Ray Beauty Glisten Up Mist. I mean, this just looks really pretty. It's not like the greatest with the spray and things like that, but because it's very like sparkly whenever you shake it up and stuff, it looks nice. And then I recently just picked up the Makeup Revolution Hydrate and Fix, and I think like this has a lot to do with like their brand as a whole, but like this kind of packaging where it has that like rose gold and then like the really nice pastel pink to it, I think it looks really nice. But I found that there's some that just like don't look decent enough for me, that I'm just not interested in purchasing. And that's kind of what's deterring me from buying a lot of those. And it's kind of unfortunate because I've been really in the market for a new setting spray, especially because my Morphe one's getting low and I don't want to repurchase. So I want to find something that's going to work almost as well or equally as well. Like, I like to find something that works like just as well, but I know that that's hard to come across. So yeah, those are 5 types of products that I have stopped buying. I'd like to see what you guys have stopped buying, if it's between concealers or bronzers or even eyeshadow palettes. That's definitely something I have not stopped buying. That's like the #1 thing I've been buying lately. Just to kind of build my collection, honestly. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you had any different options or if you have any recommendations for the 5 items that I have listed down here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell down below so you get notified when I upload. Stay tuned for future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!